we'll have an overview about Sustainability Compass. So it was created by Alan Atkinson Group with Robert Steele together, and it aimed to assess the company's sustainability profile. So I think that this compass is a very useful and easy to use tool, and it's very helpful for educators too. So what does that mean? We know that regular compass is created to find the ways, also the places or where we want to go on places. So this directional instruction like a compass should be also a directional instrument for the sustainability too. If we will take an English words, north, south, east and west, we could remain the first letters of that and change the names. For example, N stands for nature there, and that means that natural systems on which all life is dependent. It's a clear air and clean water and other ecosystems that are acting, and E stands for economy. We're speaking about the economic systems that provide humanity with goods and resources, jobs, and different financial opportunities. And S stands for society. It's about the cohesion, identity, security, governance, equity, equality, culture, institutional changes, for example. And the last one, W stands for well-being, and that means how to fulfill life. It's about the health, it's about the educational system as a whole, and self-experience and happiness and different kind of relationships. So when we're speaking about the sustainable compass, that means that it is helping the companies to assess their profile and have all these directions in place. And now we will bring some examples how to translate that and how to transfer that compass into educational system. So we could use sustainability compass in a different way and to assess the topics from the different sides. Social, economic, well-being, and natural sides. And we could put on the compass also sustainable development goals and examine cause and effect relationships. So if we will put that, we will find that some goals related to the natural side more and some to the social, economic and well-being part, but they are really interconnected. We could examine one of the goals, and you could do that further if you want and develop the links between the other goals too. As for the sixth goal, clean water and sanitation, it is on well-being part because the well-being depends mostly on the clear water and the health issues. And for social dimension, waterborne diseases are causing the health problems, and also where there is no water access, physical water scarcity is there in place. In poor societies, in least economically developed countries, girls are helping for housing their mothers, and they are going for the kilometers to fetch the water and bring that at home. And that means that those girls are missing from the educational system, and they will not be, in future, they will be in the same vicious cycle. And so we have a gender inequality because of that. Also, on environmental aspect, on clean water, there is a stress due to the climate change. And also there are the crucial concepts of virtual water or water efficiency, water resources that are important aspects of the environmental dimension. And for economical dimensions, we're having economic water scarcity, which is putting a stress on the supply of the water resources to the population, because maybe the water physically is available in the environment, but that does not mean that government could provide the pipelines and tap water to all the families. And because of that, there is an economical water scarcity. And when we're speaking about the economic aspects of the water, waterborne diseases could cause different kind of diseases, and because of that, people could spend years with disability, and that means that they can't work at that period, they can't pay taxes, and it also creates an economic burden for the societies. And there are also those girls who are not available in education because of the water scarcity. Also, the economy is missing a potential workforce because they can't be in future in the job market because of the lack of education. So those are the aspects of the sixth goal, and in this way we could also examine other 16 goals of sustainable development. So another area where we can use the sustainability compass is taking one topic or issue and putting that on the sustainability compass, and then find the cause and effect relationship of how is this topic, this complex topic should be developed for educational reasons. For example, one of the hot topics in the modern world is migration. And if we will examine migration and we will put that on the compass rose, we will find different aspects of migration. As a cause for migration, natural cause for migration could be the nature degradation or natural disasters which are driving the migration, and because of degradation of the nature, because of the disaster, people have to leave those places where they live. And also scarcity of resources could be another reason for the migration. As for the consequence for migration in natural aspect, we could have extra pressure of nature because of increasing number of population. Locals and migrants who are coming to this place are using those resources, overexploitation of those natural resources, and the scarcity could be in place, and because of that maybe the crisis could happen. Also, if we will examine, for example, economic causes for migration, it could be an economical crisis or unemployment or underemployment that could cause the migration because work is not available at the place, or poverty also could be a push factor for migration. And as a consequence, we could receive a high supply of the workforce and high competition. On one hand, it could be a good for the employees because they could employ a lot of people and there will be high competition as they could get good workers for their company. But on the other hand, unemployment will rise and it could cause also a criminal rate to increase. And we're having also, as a good consequence, we're having an increased number of taxpayers as an economic reason. And for the social dimension, we could examine also the causes and consequences for migration. And for cause, if we are having gender inequality in the place, or corruptive governance, or dictatorship, or there is a rural-urban disparities or gaps there, it could also cause a migration. As a consequence, we could receive, for example, when we are speaking about the rural-urban migration, in the villages remain mostly elderly population, or the kids are there and females are there, because in migration mostly the male workforce is involved, and that means that age-sex structure of the population will be changed. And we will receive as a positive aspect cultural diversity if the place where the migrants are coming to are open-minded and they are tolerant enough. And as a negative aspect for that, we could receive a crisis. That means that if they are not welcomed, we could receive that kind of crisis. And also coordination and cooperation could happen. And we have fourth dimension on the compass rose. It's a well-being dimension. And I think that low education or low level of healthcare also could be a driver for migration, and the poverty also, because people want for themselves and their family a better future, and that could cause migration too. And if we're having lack of democracy there, it calls they could also go to other places, because they want a freedom of speech, they want more freedom for their family and themselves. And as a consequence, in well-being part, we could have a high demand on education. That means that locals are in educational system, and also we could add some others, children of the migrants, and it could be very economically not very good for the governments, because it will put high demand on educational system. And also there will be a high demand on healthcare system, because people from poor countries are coming mostly to wealthier countries, and that means that the level or standards of healthcare in those countries are higher, and those people are looking for a healthier life for them. And on the other hand, as a positive consequence in well-being, we could have poverty eradication. That means that those migrants, if they are employed and if they will find their job there, they are sending remittances back to home, and that means that their families could survive that, and they could their style of life could improve in those countries. I read in one report from the country about education for sustainable development that we are all reading the same book, but we are not on the same page. That means that some advanced educational systems are quite ahead. They already started supporting the educators in developing the competencies, and thus creating a sustainable life for their schools, for their environment, for future generations. But others are just trying to find the gaps, examine them, and also try to advance their system. And they are just developing, and they are trying to expand their practices in that way. So I think that the strategies and methods that we are using in educational system should be examined in order to find out if they are supportive for the sustainable development principles to be integrated into the system, and are they developing those competencies that is needed for educators. And also we have to support our educators to examining for them and creating resources, which strategies, which methods are well working for sustainability. It will transform the educational system as a whole, and it will become more reflective into incorporating the sustainable development principles.